Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, Text 7. Devamba Manala Dvalah Padayarn Yunah Padacharan Varsha Rupana Kim Kaschen Devonah Parikedayan. You were either white as a lotus, of 3 legs that you're deprived of, on 1 leg moving, in the form of a bull, or whether you're someone who, as a light being, is causing us grief. So they had that phrase of people being angelic back in the day. Text 8. Na jatu karuvavendranam dordanda parerambete bhutale anupatante asmin vinnate praninam sucha. Not at any time of the kings of the Kuru dynasty and their protecting with the strength of their weapons on the surface of the earth has there been such grieving up till now, except what you've done to the living being, causing tears in the eyes. Sometimes there's claims like this, and it seems like, oh, there must have been before, but maybe not exactly as before, or with the authority or approval of society before. Text 9. Masaura Beyatra Sucho Vietu Tevershalan Vayam Marudir Amba Vadramte Kalanam Maya Sastare. Son of Srabe, don't lament in my kingdom, and let there be no more need to be afraid of the lower class, and don't cry, O mother cow, for all good is unto you. Regardless of the envious, while I'm living, as ruler or subduer. Text 10 and 11. Yasya rachtra praja sarvastrasyante sadve asadubeh tasya matasya nasyante kirter ayur bhagogate asharajnam paro dharmo he artanam arte nigraha ata enam vadishyame bhuta druham asattamam. One who's in the state of living, and all are terrified, O chaste one, by the miscreants. His illusionment vanishes. The fame and the duration of life and the fortune and the good rebirth, these are of the kings who are of a superior occupation. Certainly, for the sufferers, the sufferings, there's a subdual. Maybe suffering's not the right word, but hardships. Or maybe the response that's called suffering is subdued. Therefore, this person I shall kill as a revolter against the living beings and the most wretched. In my country, there's been a movement to make the killing or torture of animals in the illegal way, a higher crime. Now, the electrocution and drugging of animals for, the non-religious slaughter of meat, beating them to death with billy clubs and poking them with nails and swinging saws that aren't so accurate. These things are still legal, apparently, and some of the treatment that they get in the farms and the factory farming is, again, you would think it was illegal, but so again, it's rather than actually having morals, they've turned to something of a statute thing. Here, there's rules for everyone. Text 12, Ko verse chat tava padams trin sarabya chatush pada mabuvams devadrsa rashtra rajnam krishnanuvartanam. He who's cut off, there's a chapter of the Quran, 108, that talks about how people will say people are cut off because of their, you don't have any male heirs or whatever. The true people are cut off are the people who don't do their spiritual duty. So, he was cut off. Oh, he who cut off your legs. Okay, different context, but that's what it made me think of. These three, O son of Srimad, you were four-legged. That's the sort of thing that never should have happened. As yourself, in the state of the kings, those who follow the codes of the all-attractive. And so it's not just what the government does. You should be under certain spiritual rules regardless of the government. Now, some forms of sacrifice that some people have invented or got from beings include, like that one group of Mongol, was it one of the Mongol groups? Was it one of the Chinese groups? Or somewhere in that area, they beat the animal to death. They tried to kill it without shedding any blood. Text 13. Akyahe vrsha badram vah sadunam akratagasam atma vairupya kartaram parthanam kirte dushanam. Just let me know, O bull, what is honestly good for you. Because you're of those who are offenseless, regardless of this deformation that's been done. Against the reputation of the sons of Prutha. Blackmailing the reputation. Now, one of the things is what they call honor killing. And in this case, you don't kill somebody because they killed an animal. It could be a very high fine that, a cow, that could be a year's salary or two or something like that in terms of a legal fine. But the idea that the punishment is because the honor has been struck at. Now, if there's slander and backbiting and all that other stuff, that has an effect certainly too. People say, oh, we shouldn't limit freedom of speech, and it's like, yeah, when you're slandering a large portion of the population, that's a different story. In this case, when you're... Anyways, text 14. Jane nagase angam yunyan sarvato sya chamadbayam sadunam badram evasyad asadu damane karte. To the offenseless living beings, the applying of the difficulties anywhere and everywhere, such offenders should fear me if they're being honest, and the good fortune will take place by dealing with the dishonest miscreants being put down, and this so being done. Text 15. Anagasav eha bhutashu ya agaskran niran kusah ahartasme bhujam sakshad amartyasyape sangaram. To the offenseless beings that live, the person who commits the offense or upstarts it, I shall bring forth weapons directly, even one who is a demagogue, with their decorations and their armor. Text 16. Oh, let's remember the 4,300,000,000 years of the day of a planet, which is close enough to how long the Earth has been around, right? Text 16. Rajno he paramo dharma svadharma sathanupalanam sasato nyan yatha sastram anapade udpapan eha. The king, our person in charge, there's certainly a supremacy in the social order for one who is faithful to their duty, giving the protection while ruling over others. Accordingly, is the ruling of scriptures, without the danger of people going astray. As a matter of fact, text 17. Dharma uvacha etadva pandavayanam yuktam artabhayam vacha yesham guna ganae krishno daut yadau bhagavan karta. The social order says that all these, by you who are of the Pandava dynasty, are befitting. To make the sufferer free from fears by your speeches, those are done by the qualifications of even the sanction of the all-attractive as the duty of a messenger, performing as the personality of God. Now, in the Islamic world, there's the idea of the Khalifa. And a Khalifa is not just a leader over a group of Muslimin. He's one who actually is the viceroy of the Islamic way. So his own personal taste he has to set aside and suspend any belief or action except that which is priorly known to agree with the revelation and the inspiration. Text 18. Navayam klasa bijaneyata syuh purusharshaba purusham tam vijanimo vakya beda vimohita. And when it's not we who are the cause of our suffering, it so happens that the greatest of beings makes personally known that difference of opinion that we're bewildered by. And the Bhagavad Gita, is it 760 or what's that verse? That when religion degrades, to the point where people can't make all the right decisions that they need to as far as their spiritual responses, then, there's a sent one. Text 19. Kachir vikalpa vasana ahur atmanam atmanah daivam anya pare karma svabhavam apare prabhum. Some of them who deny the types of duality declare their field of consciousness as if it's the superhuman self. And others have someone else that they, vicariously look to for activity. The material nature and many other authorities. And of course, some people look at the material as if it's the only cause. Now, a lot of people say they're atheist, and I haven't met an atheist. I've talked to thousands of people about religion, and I have not run into an atheist. People who call themselves atheists, sure. Deists, a whole lot of deists. Percentages of the population are deists, but, Text 20. Apratarkyad anirdasyad ite kashav ape nischayah atranurupam rajarsha vimrsa svamanishaya. Beyond any reasonable power or thinking power, thus somebody has concluded herein about which is right. O sage of kings, judge yourself by your own power of intelligence. And the rulers should be judged by the same standards as the ruled, in terms of evidence and the type of punishments that they would get, etc., etc. Text 21. Sutta uvacha etam dharme pravadate sa samrad divija satamah samahitena manasa vekedah paryachashta tam. Sutta said, even as the social order has taught, he, the emperor, is the best of the priestly when he has the proper attention with his mind without any mistakes to counter that within him. Text 22. Rajovacha dharmam bravishe dharmajna dharmo se varsha rupa drak yada dharma karta sathanam suchakasyapetad bhavet. The king said that being of the social order is as you speak, like the one who knows the codes of life. The manifestation of the social order is what you are in the disguise of a bull, whether one who acts as if they don't have a social order. There's the taking place of what identifies that becoming. Text 23. Abhavadeva mayaya nunam gatir agochara chetaso vachasas chape bhutanam ite nischaya. Alternately, light being energies are minute movements that can't be conceived either by the mind or the words, are also of all the living beings, have they thus concluded. Now, your material incarnation is limited in what it perceives. Certain things, you could say, happen on a mental level that don't really happen on a physical level. And yeah, I know the mind is part, the brain is part of the body, but that's not entirely what's meant by, Atma and all that sort of stuff. But the spirit is what knows of the spiritual things. Text 24. Tapah saucham daya satyam ete pada karte krta adharmam saistrayo vagnah smaya sangamadastava. Austerity, cleanliness, mercifulness, truthfulness are thus as the legs of the truth age that are established. Irreligiosity combines three parts that are broken: the pride, the over association with sex, and the intoxication of you. So you've got to look out for those three pillars. And certainly from that comes other things, right? That's what they mean by pillars, is that, well, not everything's mentioned in those pillars. It's like, well, but what relates to those? 25. Idanim dharma paraste satyam nirvartayed yata tam jingrakshate adharmo yam anratanaedetah kaleh. At the present moment, the social order is as your legs of truthfulness hobbling along in some way, whereby that trying to destroy by who manifested without a social order, and this deceit was flourishing by the manifestation of that quarrel. 26. Eyam cha bhumir bhagavata niyasetoru bharasati srimadvis tat padanyasai sarvatah karta kautuka. This and the surface of the earth is by the divine personality who performs personally as well as by others. The great burden that is something by the noble auspiciousness that the footprints are all around, and that's done of good fortune. Now, the footprints are the representation of what's left behind, and it shows how inferior we are, you could say. But being of the servant of God isn't a dishonorable thing at all. So the feat upon us is not exactly in that way, but they're not. Text 27. Sochate asru kala sadve durbhagavojeta sati abramanya nirpavyaja surabhukshyante mamete. Lamenting with tears in the eyes are the chaste, as if they're the most unfortunate and forlorn and devoid of the spiritual culture. They posed as a ruler, even though they were lower class, so that they wouldn't enjoy it thus. Now, it used to be that you couldn't be of the ruling class without a certain amount of training. Now, when we talk about the 232 richest people of the world, always for hundreds of years, coming from the same family lines, well, the ones that get that position are the ones who've trained and developed or proven themselves or found themselves in the situation that they excel with what they have. But, you know, some college kid whose grandfather rules 30% of the U.S. Congress and Senate and a similar portion of the leaders in Europe, the European Union, for his whole lifetime. It's not like he was just some college kid that rose out of the thing, right? But he's the one who proved themselves. There was other ones that didn't get to be such a powerhouse. Text 28. Ete dharmam mahim chaiva sandavayetva maharatha nesatam madade kangam kalaya dharma hetave. Thus, the personification of religion was also on the earth, pacifying like a general who could fight with thousands of enemies. With the sharp sword he took up to kill the personification of the tension of the being outside of the social order as the root cause. Text 29. Tam jingam summa vipratya vihaya nirpalanchanam tatpadamulam sirasa samagadbaya vihvala. He was willing to kill, knowing it well, leaving aside the dress of a king at his feet, by the head that fully surrendered under the pressure of fearfulness. And so it's better to approach your fate in that situation. Oh, I'm going to be executed, might as well do my last respects, right? And in general, it's thought that the legal punishment is something that not only does it deter, but it's something that atones. So after it's done, you're not supposed to blame the people who have been punished. Text 30. Patetam padayor vira kripaya dina vatsalah saranyo navanich shlokya aha charam hasan eva. Having fallen down at the feet of the hero, out of compassion and kindness to the poor, the one who was qualified to accept surrender didn't kill. And he's worthy of being sung about. That's why you try to vibrate the spiritual verses, right? And also, this is like the cause of smiling.